This instrument, known as the long string instrument, is a custom sound sculpture created by American composer Alan Pullman. It comprises 50 to 100-foot long bronze and stainless steel strings, played by rubbing them with resin coated fingers along the length of the instrument. Its extreme length causes it to generate vibrations below the human hearing range, yet it generates audible harmonic overtones. The strings are also attached to wooden resonators to amplify the sound. Her other work, though less well known, is the metal skirt sound sculpture. It is a costume piece made of a metal pleated garment sheet and guitar strings that are attached to the platform shoes and to the edge of the skirt of the costume piece. By walking, they stretch the back string out while the front string slackened. The sounds it makes while she walks create these cool, rising and falling tones. Super Bowl was a Japanese band from the early 90s, a three-person band of three girls, Yoko, Chinatsu, and Naomi. There is little information about them online, but they're known for their strange live performances. So, to kind of break down how they perform their music on stage, one of the band members, Naomi, would strum her guitar out of tune intentionally, and either Shinatsu or Yoko would do random activities like skipping rope or blowing bubbles instead of playing actual instruments. Their most famous song was literally just Naomi singing the alphabet song. On top of that, they didn't even have a proper drummer. They literally used a tiny battery operated bear toy that clanked a plastic snare.
One, two, three, four. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. One, two, three, four. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. One, two, three, four. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Occasionally, they wouldn't even try to make music. They would just frolic around gazing into those toys they had with them on the stage. Imagine someone who knew what was up with this band and their shenanigans they put up on stage and decided it'd be funny to invite their friends to their live set, expecting a legitimate band playing, and they just start doing this.
Okay.
Honestly, it's sad how obscure they are even on the internet. When I search their name up, I just get bombarded with results from the Super Bowl. So I had to use the specific Japanese name to actually get results for the band. The top result When you search their name up, it was only about 5,000 views. And really had to scour the depths to find footage of their live sets. But it makes you think how many weird but really interesting things you could find on the internet, but they're kind of just hidden like a needle in a haystack. It feels so surreal whenever I find myself in rabbit holes like this. There are just entire worlds I don't know about, man. It's weird and cool. The magic instruments are custom made instruments created by Mike Silverman, whose stage name is That One Guy. During the late 90s, he devised this instrument called the Magic Pipe, which is a 7 foot tall combination of metal, strings, and electronics. He also has two other magic instruments. The first one is called the Magic Boot, which is a cowboy boot wired through the magic pipe's audio lines and played by tapping on a sole, whilst pinching the boot's opening to achieve different percussive sounds. The second one is the Magic Saw, which is a musical saw that is wired onto the main effects box, played percussively or with a violin bow. So this entry refers to an electronic composition created by American composer and sound artist Tristan Parrish called One Bit Symphony. It has an electronic circuit that performs its music once activated and played. It is listened to through a headphone jack on the case. All of it was programmed and created by hand by Tristan Parrish. His previous work, One Bit Music, was actually the first ever album to be released on a microchip. One Bit Symphony is basically an improvement on that work as it uses way less hardware. So this entry refers to a track on the album Peace and Love Inc. The track named 300 BPS and it won Terminal Mode or ASCII download by American Electronic Band Information Society. That is actually a text file encoded as modem tones that you could decode into a peculiar story about a bizarre event that took place when the band was playing in the city of Curitiba, Brazil. A YouTuber by the name of 8-Bit Show and Tell decoded it using vintage equipment.
All right, here we go. I'll start the track, and then I'll switch the 64 modem over to data mode. So it generates those tones. And here we go.
So this entry talks about Australian violinist and composer John Rose's various experimental projects. So in this video, he builds a fence like an instrument in Georgia National Park, Alice Springs. This is one of many experimental musical projects he has, and in this one, he builds fences worldwide. This project is called the Great Fences of Australia, in which he and his partner Hollis traveled around 40,000 kilometers in 5 years, playing and recording the unique sounds of hundreds of fences all over Australia to get an audio-visual map of the country and attaching contact microphones to the fences. He also has a project that has him riding a bicycle-powered violin. They also have attached other things to bicycles, which include, but are not limited to, of course, the bicycle, the pipesicle, the kitchen sink, the plectrophone, and the double bicycle. He has a bunch of other experimental projects, some of which are lost media, unfortunately, but the ones that are still accessible online are Kite Music in 2008, which is a project by Robin Fox and John Rose that uses radio transmitted cameras, accelerometers, and kites. Interspecies Music in 2004 featuring Dinky the Singing Dingo and John Rose himself. Digger Music in 2008, which is a duet improvisation for interactive excavator and violin. Wreck during 2013 until 2017, in which rusting car wrecks become functional music instruments. Hill Hoist Music in 2014, which is a clothesline that is converted into a wind-powered musical string instrument with resonators, piano wire, fence wire, machine heads, and propellers. In the Sonic Ball in 2015, during the opening celebrations of the performing arts venue, National Sawdust in Brooklyn, New York. Whilst the audience plays around and moves the ball gets powered and transmits an interactive electronic system that produces sound. So track selected by Nature by the One for the Another is a sound collage EP created by Florecita Dreams, which is a bizarre Latin YouTube channel. A lot of their videos have these weird visuals. So for example, they include Celine Delgado and the really weird police sketches of criminals, you know the ones, into one of their video edits. They have a bunch of other really weird but kind of intriguing videos in the same vein as well. Talking about the music itself, as you might expect, it's as weird as the channel's videos. It uses these weird samples that are disjointed, pulling from sources that do not make sense together. Kind of like the type of thing you'd hear out of some old, really old Nokia Arabic phone you'd find randomly in some dusty cabinet as a notification sound. Now, you might be wondering what the purpose of all this really weird edit is. Well, a lot of people have said that it's some sort of internet art project. I've also seen others say it's some sort of shitpost channel for laughs. It's probably some form of visual creative editing exercise or something. It's still pretty cool though. It's unlike anything I've seen or heard before. It perfectly captures the type of interesting but disturbing video you'd randomly come across while fiddling around in some sketchy site on the family computer in the late 2000s that you'd still periodically think about decades later. The guy who sings your name over and over. An entire Spotify page devoted to singing about as many names as possible. He gets a little goofy with it sometimes, with songs such as the Smelly Butt song. Every song has the same instrumentals, just with him singing different names. His earliest release dates back to 2012 and is still going forward with it until 2026. I aspire to have this level of dedication. Electric Eye is a 1984 album released by the American Christian rock band Prodigal. So the thing about this album is that if you picked up the needle of the vinyl record of this album and set it down again on the other side of the stub groove, you'd hear this computer code. And in the runout groove on the B side of the album, it features a code engraving, C64. The engraving dictates which program the computer code is supposed to be deciphered by, the Commodore 64, an 8-bit home computer released in 1982. It required playing on the turntable where you could record the secret program on a cassette tape, which you could then upload to the Commodore 64. The Commodore would show you lyrics, graphics, and some facts about the album.
Found Electric Eye. Bingo. Okay, press Commodore to load it. And there it is. Quotes from Albert Einstein and Jesus.
A Crimson Grail is a gargantuan musical piece that is made to be played by up to 400 guitarists and is played antiphonally, which is basically a fancy term for a piece that's played alternately by two groups. The American composer named Rhys Chatham directed and arranged it. It was made to premiere at the largest church in Paris, the Basilica of Sacré-Cœur. It was created to make use of the large architecture of the basilica for larger, longer musical reverberations in the performance. The orchestra had approximately 125 musicians performing at the Crimson Grail premiere. So Muzak is a brand of background music originating in 1934, known for its role in providing inoffensive background ambience in public spaces to calm customers or improve worker productivity. Also, I think it's interesting that there used to be a Muzak wall mounted volume knob that some establishments used. You can still see some in more vintage places today. I don't know, it's kind of cool. Over time, though, it is kind of transformed into this general term to refer to any form of music that is predictable and non disruptive. The thing about this entry is not Muzak itself, but about pieces released during a personal research project by British musician named Sam Cadell about Muzak in 2015, a series of pieces called Disruptive Muzak. These pieces share a similar sound to Muzak but subverted to be unsettling and unpredictable. Sam Cattell tested this series of pieces by calling government offices that use Muzak in their telephone queues and played them down the phone without saying anything. Sam Cattell recorded the reactions of the call center agents along with the music playing and assembled them into the piece on side A of the vinyl.
Hello, I can't hear anybody. Is anybody there? All I can hear is what sounds like background noise. I'm going to terminate.
Garbage. Is that right? Yes or no?
While side B of the vinyl contained the music alone without the voices and the reaction, so you can do it yourself and flip up government offices if you want to. "1,200 micrograms" is a psychedelic trance act from Ibiza. Their name is derived from the time when one of the members, Rajaram, was taking a 1,200 microgram of LSD while working on the group's first self-titled album on his hammock in Brazil. 1,200 micrograms self-entitled project released in September 30, 2002 is a psytrance project and arguably the defining project of this electronic subgenre. So essentially, the idea for starting the project allegedly came to Rajaram while he was considering making an album about the drugs he was on in his favorite places. Each track was actually named after the drug that was taken while creating it, featuring 9 tracks about ayahuasca, hashish, mescaline, LSD, marijuana, ecstasy, magic mushrooms, salvia, and DMT. Jerubim Vanderzon, Oscilloscope Music. Oscilloscope music is an audiovisual album that uses oscilloscopes, a device that displays electrical signals on a screen as a waveform. It is created by Austrian sound artist and electronic technician Christian Ludwig, who performs as Jerubim Vanderzon. Jerubim Vanderzon made it through precise audio waveforms fed into an oscilloscope, creating visual art. He also released a custom application called Oski Studio with the album. It's a synthesizer that connects to Blender, which is a 3D modeling software. You create a 3D model in Blender, and Oski Studio generates the specific audio signals needed to draw that model on an oscilloscope screen. The music video is up on YouTube if you want to see it in action, but the genuine experience is hearing it through an actual oscilloscope and watching the waveforms appear in real time. Leroy Anderson, the typewriter. One of the most famous compositions of American composer Leroy Anderson that consists of a typewriter. It is played along with an orchestra. You can hear all the intricacies of the keyboard, the keys tapping, the carriage of the typewriter returning, and the bell ringing. There's a version in Germany in 2012 too. "25,000 Kittens", self-titled, a cat-themed ambient drone album created by Japanese ambient artist Mizuhiro. This album was a tribute to his deceased cats named Boo and Hanakichi. So the thing about this album is that if you take a look through the comments of its YouTube upload, you'd notice how melancholic most of the comments are. The vast majority of the comments are eulogies of their pet. Some of them are just downright depressing. The music gives off poignant, dismal, and longing undertones, and this got me to really get why people got into the atmosphere to confide their stories about their pets, especially knowing the backstory behind the album. People coming together in solidarity, sharing their stories about their pets, and other people reciprocating in commiseration. It was beautiful, honestly. When I got to this video, it kind of felt like I've stumbled into a place so bittersweet yet sacred. It's kind of like those internet checkpoints you see randomly popping up from time to time in your YouTube feed. I understand why people felt compelled to confide about their pets in the comment section. To all those people, my heartfelt condolences and may your precious pets fly high. Alvin this year's various projects. Music for Solo Performer in 1965. Music for Solo Performer is an experimental composition created by American composer Alvin Lucier in 1965. The thing about this experimental composition is that it is widely considered the first composition to use human brainwaves to generate live sound. So how the composition works is basically the performer sits in a chair and electrodes are attached to the scalp of the performer. These electrodes are used to pick up the frequency of their brainwaves. Then electrical pulses are sent through the amplifiers and are routed into the loudspeakers. These loudspeakers are positioned facing snare drums, cymbals, and gongs. The low frequency tones cause the percussion instruments to play themselves, while the performance sits perfectly still. This piece of music is also an early example of biofeedback music, a technique where your body signals like your heart rate or breathing are translated into real-time musical sound. His next project is Music on a Long Thin Wire in 1977. It's a long wire stretch across the room making music. How it works is that it is connected to an amplifier clamped to a table and a magnet is connected to it. Contact microphones are also attached to this contraption and they pick up the vibrations that the wire places on the bridges and are sent through the playback system. And by varying the sound components of the frequency and loudness, sonic phenomena are produced, such as frequency shifts and slides. Even as little as the temperature and the visitor's footsteps near the long thin wire could change the sound completely. His next project is I Am Sitting in a Room in 1970, and is also his best known piece. It involves recording Alvin Lucier reading a script in a room, playing the recording back in the same room, and then re-recording it. As the repetitive process continues, the sound of the recording becomes increasingly unintelligible as it transforms into a long atmospheric drone, its sound slowly being replaced by the structural dimensions of the room. Alvin Lucier is regarded as the first composer to realize that an architectural space could be more than a supportive setting for musical instruments, that it could be an instrument itself.
Room again and again until the resonant frequencies of the room reinforce themselves until the resonant frequencies of the room reinforce.
There are even various homages on YouTube that emulate the process of the piece. Here's one from the YouTuber Ontologist, where he uploads the video on YouTube and downloads it over and over again, slowly distorting it.
Until the original characteristics of both my voice and my image are destroyed. What you will see and hear then are the artifacts inherent in the video codec of both YouTube and human qualities my speech and image might have. I'm sitting in a room.
Revivification. Before Ivan Duskier died in 2021, he agreed to donate his blood to a team of artists and scientists. His cells were reprogrammed into stem cells, and the cells were transformed into cerebral organoids, clusters of neurons that mimic the human brain. These organoids sit in an incubator and are attached to electrodes. The electric signals that are sent from the organoids are sent to brass plates lining the gallery walls. Hidden mallets strike the plates, creating some out-of-this-world acoustic resonance that react to the thoughts of the cells. And the sounds of the ambient noise from within the art installation gallery, the human voices, the footsteps, everything, and thus altering the music in different ways. So yeah, that's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching if you did get to the end. It means so much to me. Don't really know how to do outros, but yeah. Feel free to subscribe if you liked the video, dislike if you didn't. Do feel free to send me some really weird music that you found that you would like to see me cover next if I do make a part 2. So yeah, until next time.